Self-destruction comes in many forms. Today, on the Landlord Coach Daily-ish show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Landlord Coach Daily-ish show. It's really good to see you as always. This is a show for not just rental property operators, but also for any of you who are looking to be a little bit more time wealthy, to have a little bit more white space on your calendar so you can control your life and your life output and not be so beholden to income generation. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to not have to worry about where your money comes from, right? As Forrest Gump said, one less thing, right? So I hope you're having a great day. My name is Mark Dolfini, Landlord Coach. It's really nice to see you all. Hello, Paul and Kathleen. It's good to see you from Vegas. Thanks for joining the show. You are always here, it seems. I appreciate you. So what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about self-destruction, self-sabotage, whatever you want to call it. It comes in many forms, and it's just things that this is something, unfortunately, I think we all deal with this. I know in my personal life, not just my personal life, but my business life, my personal life, self-sabotage has come up in many, many ways, and it's held me back in ways that I'm almost, now I don't care as much, but even back then I was, when I was doing it, I would not really even want to acknowledge it was self-sabotage. But I came across a phrase, I actually cannot find who said it, but it was a quote from Sigmund Freud, and I actually can never find that he actually said this, so I'm afraid to give him, the credit for it or whatever. But it just said, people have a secret desire for failure, so they're going to take out and seek the greatest rewards for the least rewards for the greatest risks. Right, they take on the greatest risk for the scantiest of rewards. So I thought that was really, really something that came up, and this is something that I noticed in myself with just lots of different things that I would do. And as soon as I ever started getting to some success, all of a sudden I would do something to unravel that, whether it was being in a good relationship or having business success or just doing things and making decisions that were just self-destructive. And I thought, this was something that I really struggled with up for years. And I was like, man, why can I just never seem to get ahead? Why can't I ever seem to move forward? I always feel like I'm working my tail off, right? But it never seemed that I could. It was just enough to move the needle. And then I barely got the breath of fresh air out. I barely got the sigh of relief out before something else came along. And it was really interesting that, when we hear of self-destruction, we're thinking, visions of Britney Spears shaving her head and throwing a trash can through a window is what we're thinking of. But self-destruction, I don't think, has to look like that. I think self-destruction, it takes many forms. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples that I experienced in my world that I would do. So this is not judgment at all. This is more confession than anything else. So if this is something you can relate to, I just want you to understand this self-destruction comes from latent, limiting beliefs. It comes from latent feelings of guilt, latent feelings of unworthiness, all this stuff, right? That you're not worthy of good relationships, that you're not worthy of business success. And that's stuff that I literally had to recognize it for what it was. And I had to throw that stuff in the trash can, like literally go into my brain, rewire it and say that stuff just needs to go. So what are some self-destructive things that show up that don't necessarily look like self-destruction at the time? Well, I'll give you a perfect example for anybody, and I know there's lots of entrepreneurs that watch this show, whether on Facebook or YouTube or wherever it is you happen to watch it, that we tend to, especially entrepreneurs, I know in my own case, I'm always looking for the next opportunity. I'm always looking for the next thing to do. Like, okay, I've got 7 businesses running. Well, let me look at, 8 more that I can take on, right? So, start this business over here and I get that running and all of a sudden I start getting it successful. But then I, say, well, what about this? This is really shiny. This shiny object over here is really, this opportunity over here, so I really want to start this. So that's running okay for a little while. Then I start a third one, and then this third one is doing okay for a little while. Then the first one starts to fall. So then I run back here. So allowing myself to be distracted, I feel, is a form of self-destruction, self-punishment, self-sabotage. And it's just one of those things where I feel like it's, no matter what it was that I would try to do, no matter how hard I would work, I could never, I would allow myself to be distracted. I really just do believe that that was a form of self-sabotage, where I'd be trying to do all these different businesses all at one time. I mean, and of course, everybody always mentions, well, Richard Branson, he's got 75 different businesses and they all make $1 zillion a year. Right. But he doesn't run them. He gets them up, he gets them running, he puts the people in place, he sits back, and he is a business owner. In fact, I wouldn't even call him a business owner. I would call him at that point a true investor. He's really not, and most of those he has very little engagement in at all. So, in that particular case, that's where you'd want to shoot for, is get the business up and running, remove yourself completely, maybe manage it by metric or have your managers manage it by metric. And at that point, you're just, then you can look for the next opportunity, right? Unfortunately, that's not what many entrepreneurs do. That's certainly not what I did. And it made my life really, really difficult. Another thing would be not focusing on the necessary. So you might think, well, isn't that the same thing as being distracted? Not really. Because I can be very busy inside my one business, focusing on things that are absolutely irrelevant if they got done or didn't get done. Organizing my contacts in my phone, returning, organizing the folders in my email inbox, right? Returning emails in general that would have no bearing on moving the needle one way or the other. And was I just busy? Or was I actually productive? Did I actually move the needle towards an additional sale or making my life that much better? Or focusing in a little bit more on life output rather than just on income generation? Is that extra hour of time spent going to net me an extra 3 or 4 hours of free time down the road, right? What if we looked at it from that component rather than, well, I invested an hour and I got $1,000. Well, how about if I invest an hour that I got 4 hours in return, right? What if we looked at it in that way? I don't know, change of a mindset perhaps. But some other things too is not just business. Let's look at the relationship side of this for just a second. Is, if you're not feeling worthy about having a good relationship, what are the things you're going to do? Well, you might pick fights. You might act indifferent. You might say things you don't mean. I know my bride and I, we had very venomous conversations back and forth before we recognized, why are we doing this? What is this all even about? And we recognized that we have a really, really, really good thing here. Like those of you who are friends with me and my bride, A, she's out of my league, which I will totally admit to, but B, she's just an amazing, amazing woman, and I love her dearly. That there was just things that I would just say that were flat stupid. And there's times where I will have to stop and say, wait a minute, why am I acting this way? No, this is this unworthiness demon trying to shove his way back in my head, and I just have to, send him on his way. Because I recognize, no, this is a relationship that we both deserve, and that we honor each other. This is what we both want. So it even shows up in relationships. It shows up in business relationships. It shows up with your coworkers. It shows up in so many different ways where this self-sabotage comes in and says, nope, I'm going to stay in this punishing job that I hate because this is what I deserve. Is it though? Really? Is it? Because you do get to change that. Short of someone putting a gun to your head, and we're in America, I'm pretty sure that you can change jobs really whenever you want, but you staying in the same punishing job day in and day out for years and years and years until you can mercifully retire after 40 years of servitude, I don't know. There's a better life for that. And that's one of the nice things about being able to have the freedoms that we do. The other thing is that I noticed too is that, I mentioned this a little bit ago. I'm going to wrap this video up. But whenever I would get little bits of success, that I would work to undo it. And I would work to undo it in ways that were 100% not healthy. Things like, gambling. Let's say I had a $10,000 gain on a business deal. I'm like, yeah, go me. And then I might take a trip to Vegas and then gamble, half of it away, right? Like I felt like, well, I worked hard for this. I can do what I want with it. Yeah, but that is not. I mean, I could have made a lot more of that 10,000 not by gambling, And again, it's not like I had a gambling problem, but I would do this self-destructive nonsense, right? And by drinking during the day or something like those lines. I don't ever do that, but but there's just different things that you can do. Whatever it is, you can do it by just being lazy, by putting stuff off, by hiding. You can hide and not take phone calls, or something that many, and this is something that I used to do, is I would hide inactivity. So meaning I would hide being really, really super active, and I would hide being really, really busy, right? If I'm really, really busy running around in circles, just busy doing this thing, right? Even though everything's burning down around me. Hiding inactivity, or hiding within inactivity, meaning just being super lazy, not wanting to deal with any of it. That's another thing. And these, whatever it is, these addictions, these things that show up in our world, these are just things that I had to kind of recognize. Wait a minute, why am I even doing any of this stuff? There's none of this stuff like obsessive video game playing, where I would stay up all night playing a video game the night before I would have to go to a really tough final, knowing that I'm walking in there not at my best and not potentially setting myself up for success in that test, or a presentation or something where I had to be at my best. So it's just really interesting that when you recognize all these different things in terms of what they actually are and the self-destructive behavior, then you actually recognize, oh, wait a minute, this is self-destruction coming around. Maybe I need to adjust this, or maybe I need to address the underlying thing, that whatever is causing this. So it's just really interesting that, once I started recognizing the self-destructive behavior, and it's not always shaving your head and throwing a trash can through a window, it shows up in many, many different forms. And when you see it, you can stop it, and you can actually change your world. So lots of comments here. Joseph Delphine, it's good to see you. Relax, cousin. I need to connect. Next time I'm down in Cincinnati, I need to connect with you. I don't think we've ever met, actually. But we share the same last name, but I don't know that we've ever actually met each other. Well, anyway, that's all I have for today, folks. If you are interested in getting a copy of the Time Wealthy Investor 2.0, you can go on Amazon, buy it, spend a lot more money, send your money to Jeff Bezos, or you can send me $8. I am going to cover the shipping with that, and I will send that book right out into your hot little hands and get it to you in just a couple of days. Just go to landlordcoach.com/videos. And there's also a free download in there if you want to take a look at it. If you're ever looking to analyze properties in terms of purchasing them, there's a cash flow calculator in there that you can check. And there's also a white paper in there that really explains how to use that and why most people actually don't do cash flow analysis the right way. So you can take a look at that, and that is for free. So that's all I have. Take it easy, Paul. Yes, thank you. Bye-bye. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day, and please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have a great day. See you guys next time.